It's cool.
But anyway, he is, you guys, over on Instagram, Nathan_does_voices. You started this just recently. You have another page. I see you like stalk me on all your pages, watching my story, like
Yep.
stuff. But you reached out to me and you said, dude, like, I am a big fan of Carnivore. I lost a lot of weight and got healthy. And I happen to do lots of voices. And I'm like, you had me at the Carnivore, but the voices was like the proverbial cherry on top. What's a Carnivore? The proverbial bacon on top of the burger. So it was a lot of fun. And those of you that don't know, Nathan is now the voiceover guy at the very beginning of the Meet RX podcast. So if you ever watch Sean Baker's show, which I had the privilege of being on before you did the voiceover, that's you, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see, how does it go again? I did it a million times. It was, welcome to the Meet RX podcast. Want to transform your life with a carnivore diet? So I tried to get more, because my natural voice is very low. So I tried to get more normal male sounding.
Right. Well, it's funny because yours is naturally low. Mine's naturally kind of a baritone in the middle. The worst thing you can do as a guy is have a really high voice. Not that there's anything wrong with that. If you have a naturally high voice, was it Dr. Sure has a very high voice for a guy,
Mm-hmm.
but dude's brilliant. He gets it out, and it's listenable. But there's just something about that really rich, deep voice that you have. So that's interesting. You had to manipulate it to go higher.
Oh, baby. Yeah, I can get quite low. So like,
oh no, Mr. Bill,
like
higher.
James Earl Jones or
Morgan Freeman.
Oh, I wish I could do him. He is very I can't quite get his mannerisms right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he does have a great voice.
Do that one.
Pardon me?
But this is CNN.
See, I'm in Canada, so I'm trying to remember how that sounds.
It's old school. James Earl Jones did the voiceover for the "This is CNN." I don't watch CNN.
Really?
Anymore. I have no idea they'll use that, but
okay, I have to look it up. But I can do
up on YouTube. This is CNN was famous long after Darth Vader, which I know you do Vader very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be what is thy bidding, my master? There's a grave disturbance in the force. I have felt it, my master. But James Earl Jones, he has a very... And you know what I just found out about him? He is a stutterer. He stutters in real life. So, and that made...
People like that have some kind of...
Yeah, because I have kind of the same thing. In an extemporaneous conversation, I kind of stumble all over my words. But when you give me a script and I can do it. So that made me feel so much better.
Remember the guy that played Gomer Pyle on the Andy Griffith Show? Surprise, surprise, surprise. Oh my gosh, I am like showing my age and you're like at me. Okay, it's this guy named Jim Neighbors. And he would stutter a lot when he was talking. But when he sang, never stuttered.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that. Like I'm sure somebody can figure out why. When you're singing, I guess you go into another thing. Just like when you do voices, you go in kind of a creative part of your brain that doesn't remember, oh yeah, I'm supposed to fall all over my words.
I wish I knew what it was, but it's got to be something like that, because if I know what I'm supposed to say and it's like on a page or from memory, then I can do it fine. But just making up the words as I go, like that, it's like the Three Stooges trying to get through the door, It's like whoop, 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 whoop.
Exactly. Well, definitely look up Gomer Pyle. Surprise, surprise, surprise. See, I'm giving you all kind of suggestions for more voiceover. See, you're missing all of the classics now, man.
Oh, there was one scene from The Simpsons years and years ago, where Charles Bronson was the guest star, and he like, and Don Knotts. I only know the show from stuff that is parodied it, right? So it's like, where's Otis? He's not in his cell. I shot him. Well, that's what? Now I'm going to Emmett's Fix-It Shop to fix Emmett. Anyway, so, but I have seen the show, but I never actually sat and watched it.
And Barney Fife would be a great one, although he's a little bit higher voice. You might have trouble, but you did pretty well with Don Knotts there. But he had the nip it, nip it, nip it in the butt. You know, he was just really good at those kind of comedic value. Anyway, we're waxing eloquently, nostalgically here, but I want to get into your story. We definitely want to do a little bit of silliness with the voices, but you do have an amazing kind of carnivore story. And in your Nathan Does Voices Instagram page, you say the meat-based voice actor. So
Hmm.
talk about how you found carnivore, why you felt like you needed to do that, and what did it do for you?
Well, I have been through about almost every treatment imaginable for depression, and like so many different types of medications, and even electroconvulsive therapy, so which is shock treatments. And nothing worked. ECT or shock treatments worked for a little while, but they say you need maintenance treatments. So I just didn't. I felt like the downside of that was just something I didn't want to have to pay every time because it does fry your short-term memory. I always do the joke. Yeah, it really fried my short-term memory, and I'll tell you another thing too. It really fried my short-term memory. So I didn't really want to have to go through that again. I've went through it. Pardon me?
Does it hurt?
No, no, you're completely unconscious during it. It's
What,
just,
like this electrical stems put on your head on right here,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it just does like a low level and what's it supposed to do?
It sends you into a seizure, but it does
Whoa.
something in the brain. It must that, gosh, I don't know, man. The only thing I can think of after everything I've learned about depression and the things that contribute to it would be that maybe it just, and this might go along with the short-term memory loss, is that it breaks apart all of the connections that are responsible for negative thought patterns, maybe. So, because I know that negative thought patterns are a big contributor to depression.
So it's like that little flash thing in Men in Black. Oh,
Exactly, yeah.
interesting.
Because whenever you would wake up from it, you have no idea what's going on or where you are. You don't remember what happened, and but you just like you feel really clear in the head. It's almost like a reset.
Yeah.
But I think that it's up to you to reestablish new positive thought patterns,
Right.
right? And a lot of people, they just go right back to the way they were before. That's why they need to keep doing it. So I
Well,
don't think it's a good
therapy
solution.
with it would be helpful as well.
Pardon me?
Therapy along with it would probably be a nice 1-2 punch.
Yeah. So that's true because I found that when I went to a homeopath, and I don't endorse homeopathy or anything like that, but I went there and see, they're different than the other doctors. They'll actually sit and talk to you for like an hour. And I find that people think they work, but I think it's the talking that is what actually works because they would give me these tiny little sugar pills and I didn't really think that they did anything. It's like I don't know how this little sugar pill is gonna make you a more positive person, you know?
But if
So
you believe it, there's this placebo effect that kicks in.
yeah, yep, absolutely. So
Carnivore.
carnivore, yeah. So I got to the point where I was just so desperate and at a really low point, in about end of 2018, I think it was, because I've been carnivore a year now. And I love psychology. So I was watching one of Jordan Peters. I watched a lot of his talks where he, toured around and
He's amazing.
yeah. And it was all about personal responsibility and, make a damn schedule, that kind
Can
of
you
thing.
Peterson voice?
Oh, I wish I could. No, I can't. No.
Had a unique like cadence to him as well as the tone is very high compared to
Mhm. There is a guy on Instagram that Michaela's always linking. He does a good impression and he's
your
he's really
is his daughter, by the way, you guys.
yeah, Michaela Peterson. So anyways, watching his psychology videos, I then found his interview with Joe Rogan where he was talking about his new strange diet.
Right.
So I watched that, and he was talking about how all he eats is meat, or like steak, beef in particular, water and salt, and that's it.
Right.
And his mood got better. So then he mentions his daughter. So I go and watch her interview with Joe Rogan, and her health problems got better on the all meat diet. And so I'm like, I have to try this because I'm just so desperate. I can't live like this anymore. Like when uh, people hear the word depressed, they think, I'm feeling kind of down. You know, that's not what it's like. I talked about this in my Meet Our Ex interview, where it's like lugging a ball and chain around on your ankle, where you just can't move as fast or get as much done, and it's exhausting carrying around this constant weight of depression, this gray cloud in your brain that you just can't get rid of. And sometimes it would get so bad where it was like you get thoughts like, I have to kill myself. I have to kill myself. I just can't. You can't see past your own nose
Yeah.
almost. It's so dark. And so I had to. I had to try it. I had to try anything.
So can before we get to where you tried it a year ago, can we back up in your life a bit? Did you deal with any kind of childhood trauma or some kind of something that triggered your depression, or was this just something you dealt with your whole life with no real explanation?
Um, I know that I have relatives further down the line that had depression. My grandfather had it pretty bad. Um, but gosh, I don't know. It wasn't until the teenage years, I think, that I really noticed I had an anxiety depression problem looking back.
Or active or the really docile kid?
I was um I was very active until they invented video games, and then that was the end of that.
Being very docile.
Yep. Yeah, we didn't want to go outside. I wanted to play a guy going outside.
Yeah. And now they do that, what, Legend of Zelda, Minecraft. There's all kind of games where these kids are like, "Oh, I'm going on an adventure," and you think they're going outside to play in the street, and no, they're on their phone playing this game. So
Yeah, well, let's see if I can do any video game voices that everyone would recognize. I'm a Mario, that one. So a little bit, but
it's
most of my video game. Sorry, what?
no, I was just doing the it's a score.
Oh yes, yes. And the guy, I just recently started following the guy who did Mario's voice. So he's quite an established voice actor.
Do you watch these other voice actors to just kind of go, ooh, I'm trying to get to there. Like
Hmm.
Harry is pretty good. Like he's just character in and of himself. But like all these who was that? Oh, Frank Caliendo, I was telling you about other day on he's like a master at these voices. And yeah, it's funny how you watch these people that are better than you so you can like strive to get better. You're not just going to be complete. And that's with anything in life. I
Hmm.
I don't just think that I know how to do podcasts. I actually listen to lots of other people that do it and do it better than me so that I can
Hmm.
be better and strive to be better.
Yeah, I do watch a lot of voice actors. And Frank, see, everyone has their own little range, right? Where you can get to, but sometimes we overlap and we can do the same voices, and that's always interesting. Then you kind of get jealous and who's doing it better.
Some voices are so similar to another. I was just thinking about it this morning that Grover from Sesame Street is almost exactly the same as Yoda from Star Wars.
Hmm. Wasn't it the same guy who did the voice?
Oh, was it? No, I don't think so. I just
Oh,
think it's so similar. Um, do or do not. Like like, and then Grover. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen Sesame Street, but I just when you hear them, I'm sure you're like, ooh, well, if I can do that voice, I can obviously do this voice.
yeah, yeah. I was doing Milhouse's grandma on The Simpsons, and then someone said, my friend said you could probably do Professor Farnsworth from Futurama. And I was like, who's that? And because I know who that is, but I don't never really watched the show as faithfully as The Simpsons. So it was it wasn't until I heard it and I actually tried it. I'm like, oh, I can actually do that. And that was just last week. How old is that show? And I didn't even realize I could probably even do Bender if I practiced it. But anyways, we're getting off topic again here. Okay, fine, I'll do it. All right. Who are those horrible orange creatures over there? Those are the Groongalungas. They work here in the Slurm factory. Tell them I hate them. Anyway, so
I love it when you do that on your little short. Again, guys, go follow him over on Instagram. Nathan underscore does underscore voices, because you get all you do little snippets like that. I see you use TikTok, and then you take the videos from TikTok and put them into Instagram.
Yeah, for some reason the sound software on TikTok is so much better than Instagram.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe because it's meant for singing. I don't know. I've been working on singing videos too.
All I see is people telling me they'll take my man if I want to, asking me if I'm simp. There's all kind of weird stuff on TikTok.
It makes me so angry because these people who literally just do a little jig and smile at the camera have millions of followers.
You
And
got
then
a little
someone with,
bit of moxie in you, and you get a little bit of viral action, and you're off to the races on TikTok.
yep. And Chinese get to spy on you too. Anyway, so.
Well, not anymore. It was brought into
Oh,
America now, so
they fixed it? Oh, good. That's good.
so yeah. Back to your carnivore story, and then we'll go more silly voices. So tell us,
Okay.
you found carnivore. Tell us how that went.
I was living with my grandma at the time because my grandpa died a few years ago, and my living situation was such that it would be easiest for me to move in with her. So we got an apartment together here in this tiny little town we live in, and my parents bought a house here, so we moved here too. And she thought I was crazy when I told her because she comes from the era where salt and meat are bad for you, even though everybody wants it all the time. It must be bad for you because that's what we heard on the TV box and the moving pictures. So um, she thought I was nuts, but my parents had already been doing it for a year before me,
Oh,
and
really?
they had lost tons of weight. Yeah.
Wow.
And my dad, I remember 3 months in, he said that his mood had gotten better. So, but he never had depression like me. So I just kind of like, yeah, I know it probably will work, but it still took me a year to get to the point where I was like, I have to try it.
And this was after hearing Jordan and Michaela Peterson on Joe Rogan.
Yep. It was a year after that I actually decided to go
It's
for it.
funny how, like, you hear information. People often tell me they read Keto Clarity, but then they didn't start keto for like a year or two later. And I'm like, what? Did I do a good job of getting you excited and pumped to go right now? And they're like, well, I had to like ruminate on it. And I think we all go through that of, I really want to just eat meat? In your case, just eat meat all the time, like that, like you have all the little questions swirling around your head. So what got you there?
It was a really, really low point where it was so bad. I was actually starting to plan how I was going to kill myself.
Whoa.
And yeah, it was bad. And I decided a friend actually messaged me out of the blue that day, and I swear this saved my life. He said, I hadn't talked to him in about a week, and then right as I'm thinking about doing this, he messages me and he tells me how much he cares about me and that he wishes I didn't have to deal with this kind of stuff, you know? So, and I was like, that's when I realized I need to do something. I can't, it's just to live the rest of your life wanting to be dead all the time. No, I can't do that. If there's any cure, I have to find it.
Guys, listen to what Nathan is saying here, because 2020, we got a whole lot of Nathans out there right now that they are contemplating killing themselves. When I saw the statistic that 1 in 4 teens have attempted to kill themselves this year, 1 in 4, like that's an ungodly number of people, teenagers, the future generation, wanting to end it all. And so you know what that feels like. You've been there mentally. Check in on your people, even if it's somebody that's kind of an obscure friend. Reach out. I do it all the time. I'm a natural encourager. That's just my style. It's who I am. And you never know who you're preventing from going down this deep, dark hole. Because depression is a you know what.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually had a friend kill himself earlier this year
Oh, what?
because of the lockdowns, and he was mentally unstable, emotionally unstable, and did have depression, but I think it was just the lockdown. He just couldn't handle it.
Oh,
So,
so isolation. I mean, I live by myself here, and I don't really have a whole lot of friends locally. Most of my friends, because of what I do, are like virtual online. And so I've reached out to a lot of them through phone calls and video chats and things like that. But it's not the same as being there in person, seeing smiles, hugs, touch. Yeah, it's 2020 has been a rough year if you've got any level of kind of mental health issues, depression, anxiety, and all the rest. But yeah, I'm glad you were able to come out of it. So you started Carnivore, you said a year ago. So like this
Hmm.
time of year?
It would have been almost to October. Yeah, I think it was around the end of September I decided I was going to try it. And I had been keto before, but I ate I used to have enormous salads and with spinach and kale, and I used to love blueberries, stuff like that. And I had this weird itchiness all over my body back then when I was doing keto. I lost weight, and you feel good because of losing weight, but I also found I'm very sensitive on the carnivore diet. I
Yeah.
found that I'm very sensitive to oxalates.
Yes.
So,
Say it's a histamine response or an oxalate response. So that's interesting that you discovered that on your own.
hmm well, you hear, I was watching success stories, right? Which I encourage anyone to do that's thinking of doing this. The easiest way to get started, if you know nothing about it, is to watch other people's success stories, particularly the ones that have had health problems that you're dealing with.
Or go to the worst of the worst. I think of my friend Rebecca Farmer, Tailored Keto Health on Instagram. She's been on this show before, and she had 10 autoimmune conditions, 20 plus total conditions, including Lyme disease, you name it. This poor girl at like teenage years was dealing with it. And now she's like 23 and she's off of all of that's in remission. She got down to 70, under 70 pounds, and now she's
Oh
back to
my goodness.
130. Like, it's an inspiring story when you see these. I know Sean features a lot of them on the meetrx.com website, where you can see that. So yeah, I mean, it seems a little bizarre for people that are, oh, just eating meat, that's kind of seems unhealthy. And then you kind of question it in a gentle way. All right, what do you think's unhealthy? What am I missing in my diet that I need to have in there? Oh, you mean those carbohydrates you think I need? Do you know there's no such thing as any essential carbohydrate? There's essential amino acids, there's essential fatty acids, but nowhere is there essential carbohydrate acids. It just doesn't exist.
hmm Yep. A lot of people, someone told me the other day that your brain runs on glucose.
Well, it can.
Yeah, that's right. I'm like, but I haven't had sugar or carbs for a year and I'm doing just fine. So,
The
you know,
preferred fuel is actually ketone bodies. So when you're eating fat and protein and you're not eating carbohydrate, it's allowing your body to tap into stored body fat, as well. And that's even of a leaner person, unless you're like 4% body fat, which nobody is unless you're an elite athlete, and or in competition. You're going to have enough fat on the body that if you need that, you can have it. And then when you eat carnivore too, people, well, you have glucose needs in the body, and you do, by the way, you have lots of glucose needs, but it's not a lot of glucose required. So you get that through gluconeogenesis. It's demand driven. When you're eating protein, it converts it through the liver, and it gives your brain, your heart, and every part of your body that requires glucose the exact amount it needs. And sometimes what it manifests as, do you test your blood sugar in the morning?
no.
So if you tested your blood sugar and you saw 120, for example, you might think, oh my gosh, I thought carnivore was supposed to help me. Why do I have a 120 in the morning? Well, what happens is your body is actually storing up glucose so that then when you wake up the next day, you've got the glucose ready to go. Bada bing, bada boom. It just sends it everywhere in the body. And when you test 4 hours later, guess what that 120 is? It's now in the 80s and 70s. So people
Mm,
out about this high morning glucose when in actuality, it's doing good stuff in your body.
mm, yeah. Interesting. See, I'm not too up on all of the science stuff. I'm more artsy, creative
And
type.
I'm helping teach you, is what I'm saying. And
Oh,
then
good.
should be testing your blood sugar, by the way, just to kind of see where you stand. And then if you want to see how you're doing overall with your blood glucose, don't look at the morning number. Do this thing called an A1C test. That's going to be a telltale sign of how you're doing. It basically is your average blood sugar over the past 3 months. And it's a pretty cool marker. You're trying to aim definitely below 5.5, optimally below 5.0. And if you know that number is 4.9, for example, and yet you have like a 113 blood sugar in the morning, you got nothing to worry about. That's just your body doing what it's supposed to do to provide glucose for your essential glucose parts of your body.
Okay. I have heard of the H1C test before. I should get that done.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I was close to being diabetic before I started this diet
all
too.
of us were, dude. I got to 410 pounds and I was eating carbs like they were going out of style. 1,600 grams of like Little Debbie snack cake, and Coca-Cola was the majority of it. I was guzzling Coke. How did you get? I mean, let me back up. You didn't have a weight issue as much as you had the depression issue. I love that you put the focus on why you went carnivore wasn't because you were trying to have a weight loss story, which you did lose weight. It was
Mhm.
more, I wanted to not be depressed. So I
Yeah.
love that you put the focus on that. And I think we're moving more to that direction of I have a health problem, thus let me go on diet for health problem. Whereas culturally speaking, my whole life, you go on a diet to lose weight.
hmm Yeah. I knew that the weight loss would come, so I just didn't even worry about that.
That's
Hardly ever weighed myself because I knew what makes people gain weight. It's insulin resistance and, too many sugar and carbs. So, um, I was just concerned about the depression. I did lose about over 80 pounds though. So, yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. So, how quickly did you see the symptoms of the depression lift? Was it pretty quick?
No, it took I remember about a month and a half in, I was thinking like, shouldn't my depression be gone by now? And I actually messaged Dr. Sean Baker, and asked him about that. I told him I know he's very busy, so I just sent him a very, very quick, short question, asking him, telling him my situation, and he basically replied, "Give it more time." And he was right because after about 2 months, I did not notice my mind was much more less foggy, and my depression was lifted a bit. But after 3 months, I definitely noticed a huge difference. Huge, huge. It must have taken that long for the inflammation to go down. I can't understand what would cause that. You're shaking your head, so clearly you know what I'm talking about.
And to get your body over to your new fuel source. Because I don't know how you ate before, and you can definitely elucidate how you were eating before when you were having the bad depression. But it takes time for that to get out of the body. What was your diet like?
Oh, I loved sweet things and potato chips. So, potatoes
All
and
hit,
pastries.
by the way. That's the reason you craved them, the reason you wanted them. You needed that hit for the brain because the brain was depressed. I eat this sugary, starchy, potato chippy thing. Brain gets excited, but then quickly brain falls because blood sugar falls. And so then you kind of go, oh, I need another hit, 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 hit. And we don't think about food in that way, junk food that way. But you're basically the same as a drug addict who keeps shooting themselves with needles.
Yep, absolutely.
Our tasty needles is all they were.
And you're never satisfied either. That's the thing I
So
noticed. Is you're always craving more, and you never feel filled and satiated like I do now when I have like a nice juicy steak or two, even just two burger patties, and I feel done. I don't need to eat anymore.
it's so funny. I was kind of leaning carnivore like 4 or 5 years ago. I just fell into a pattern of I felt better when I would eat mostly meat. I would throw some slices of cheese on top or something like that. But for the most part, I would like cook up 2, 3 hamburger patties, throw some cheese on top, maybe do bacon every once in a while, and that's all I would eat. And people were like, that can't be healthy. But it's like even intuitively, I knew 4 years ago. I went carnivore 2 years ago, full on carnivore, keto carnivore. But 4 years ago, I was already kind of defaulting to this because my body, I think, was trying to send me a message, dude. This is it. You feel good doing this.
hmm Yep. And I used to feel so sick after I ate anything at all. I remember being at a dinner party, my Portuguese friends, and those people eat like they don't want to live, by the way. Like I've never seen so much food and then when you're at a Portuguese dinner party. Anyway, but there's a lot of pastries and especially Brazilians, they love their sweets and pastries, and they have some desserts I've never seen anywhere else, you know.
Oh, to Chile, South America, when I was in college on a mission trip with the church I was in at the time. And they had this thing, it was a custom, it's probably still there, it's a custom in their culture called once, which is the Spanish word for 11. But once, everybody would come home at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So the kids would come home from school. The mom and dad would come home from work. Everybody came home from work for 2 hours. And all they did with once, I'm not kidding you, Nathan, was have this big platter of pastries. I remember very vividly, I was 20 years old, and I was going, wait, you stop your day to come home and have pastries. Well, you talk to each other and you find out how things are going. Like it was a very kind of communal thing, and it's beautiful. I wish we could do something like that in America, just with bacon and eggs instead of pastries. Like we could have a carnivore once if we wanted to come up with one.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. But yeah, I don't know how they get away with doing that. But anyways, yeah, I remember being at the dinner party, and I had everything there, but it was the one dessert that had lots of flour in it. And I remember sitting on the couch. Everyone else is having a ball, laughing and joking, and I'm like, I think I'm having a heart attack.
Uh,
I would get, whenever I would have gluten, I found out later what it was. It was the gluten
right.
causing my chest to get so tight and my heart would pound, because of the sugar. But I never get that anymore. Never feel sick, never have heartburn. I had terrible acid reflux before, and no, it's all gone.
So you lost 80 pounds. You got to stop the electroshock therapy. Were you ever on any kind of medications for the depression, like Paxil or Zoloft or any of that kind of stuff?
Oh, Paxil was the worst. That was the first one I was on.
But yeah.
I swear it's designed so that if you miss a dose, you feel like you're being shocked.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember whenever I would miss a dose or I couldn't get any, whenever I would move my eyes just from side to side, it felt like I was being electrocuted.
It's an optical migraine when you start moving your eyes and you get a headache, and it just, yeah.
Oh, that was horrible. But yeah, I was on that. I was on anti-anxieties, antipsychotics for a while. And I was also on Epivil, which is Develprox or something like that. It's for seizures, but people with bipolar disorder, I think, take it too. But I remember one time I was living with a jerk roommate, and he was getting fed up with me because I was like listening to him and I couldn't understand what he was saying. And I'm just like,
Charlie, like the Charlie Brown teacher.
Yep. And he said to me, Nathan, you're just so slow and stupid all the time. And I'm thinking to myself, I wasn't like this when I was a kid. I studied languages for fun. Like I studied German, Dutch, French, and sign language just because I was curious, And I wrote 4 novels by the time I was 18. The sign language word for stupid, by the way. Yeah. Absolutely. There's a reason why they do that. So yeah, I wrote 4 novels by the time I was 18, studied languages, taught myself how to play the piano and harmonica, and I could actually do Piano Man with the thing around, holding the harmonica up. I realized I could sing back then and do all these voices, and here I am on all these medications that I was never on before, and I'm just like a zombie,
Yeah.
So I realized there's something not right.
It robbed you of the gifts that you had. And I really appreciate you bringing that part out. People just think, oh, diets, weight loss, da da da. And they don't think about the ramifications of when you don't have to take these medications that make you a zombie anymore. You can actually be who you are and flourish with those talents. And people are like, oh, I'll just take a pill because that's what everybody does. And when you take the pill, it always comes with consequences, but nobody ever thinks about the trade-offs that you take the pill, rather than doing something like the carnivore diet where there's no pills at all. You eat very delicious foods that satiate you. You feel good. Your brain is on fire because now you're burning fat for fuel for the most part. And you're a lot more gifted and talented now than even before.
Yeah. And I used to write, like I said, I used to write a lot, and poetry. Poems would just come naturally to me. And I could sit down and start writing. And now I'm lucky if I can get one every 2 years out. because just something damaged something in my creative, the creative center of my brain. I think it was the medications or the ECT.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's such a shame because I love poetry and I can't do it as good. Something has to really be like a creative fire inside of me where it just comes out and I'm just like, where the heck did that come from? You know?
Well, I think a lot of parents give up on their kids that show those great gifts and talents for creativeness, and put them on drugs. I'm very grateful because I was a bit of a hyperactive kid. Um, Surprise. I'm surprised my mom never did go to drugs to put me on any kind of medication. My dad, I learned when I became an adult, had been on Paxil, Zola, the whole gamut. So I had it as in my family history, like you did, having some of the mental health stuff that required medication. But when I went keto, all that went away. Like my personality became a lot more positive. My brain
Hmm.
went into overdrive with the creativity. I think you're on the cusp of getting this, like where you're writing poems back again. Just give yourself, like Sean said about the depression, give yourself some more time. I'm telling you today, Nathan, give yourself some more time. 2, 3 years into this, you're going to be like, dang it, Jimmy Moore was right. I can't stop thinking about content. Like, think about what I do for a living now. I interview people. I do this show, Jimmy Rants. I write books. You don't do that unless your brain's going haywire, like, brrr, like all the time.
Hmm.
And it took years, Nathan, for that brain to get that way. So I'm encouraging you here today that you're going to get there. So keep eating your
I
ribeye
hope so.
steak, having your hamburger patties, and you're going to get there.
I hope so. Yeah. So, I like to, like you said before, you're an encourager, and I like to be like that too. So, and it's really hard to do when you're depressed, and then when you're like that, and you like to make people laugh and entertain people, you totally understand why
Yeah.
people like Robin Williams would do
Oh,
that, like do that, and
when he died, I was so sad because you could tell he was one of the genuinely gifted artists of our generation. Like it's like Michael Jackson on a different level, but from Robin Williams' standpoint, he's funny. He just made people smile and laugh. Meanwhile, he was crumbling on the inside. And that's the
yeah,
little secret. When you see people that are funny and entertain you, you kind of have to know it's almost a coping mechanism for something that happened in their life before. And it gives you a greater heart for those people. And those are the people you think, okay, they're happy because they're making people happy. No, just because they're making other people happy, doing voices like you do, doesn't mean they're happy in their life. Those people need more
hmm
encouragement probably than anybody.
yeah, yeah, it's true. It's sad, uh, but that's why I want to get more into it, and I've really touched on this. I remember your post from a few weeks ago about 9/11, and you were talking about where you were on 9/11, and it made me remember where I was on 9/11, and I was actually, oh boy, my life had taken quite a terrible turn, and I ended up being homeless in another city away from my family, and I was staying in a teenage homeless shelter, and I remember being in the basement. I had just been released from the hospital too, the healthcare system in Canada. Apparently, you can kill yourself or try to kill yourself, and you'll be out of the hospital in 2 days. And I'll walk in the streets, and they're just like, "Well, let us know how it goes." I couldn't believe it. So I wound up in the basement of this homeless shelter for teenagers, watching the towers come down. And yeah, that'll be locked in my memory forever. But now that I'm doing much better, I'm actually getting my life on track, going from being homeless to having a job, getting into my dream of doing voice acting. Um, I'm like, you know what? I would love to go back to that teenage homeless shelter because it's still there and talk to the kids, you
Oh,
know?
yes. Yes. And you can say 20 years ago, I was right here. And I know where you're at in your heart right now. And I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna be okay. Like I
Mhm.
think all across our society, if we could have more people who uplifted like that and remembered the roots of kind of where they came from. Like I have a heart now for kids going through trauma, through physical and emotional and sexual abuse, because I went through that. And so
Mhm.
like I actively try to help kids in those situations, to try to get them encouragement and just tell them, hang on. I know you have this propensity. You want to cut yourself, you want to kill yourself, but it's coming. Just hang on. Like
Mhm.
it's a weird society we're in, that we've lost humanity for one another, that we can't really put ourselves in the position of other people when we have every qualification to do so. So that's admirable. You want to go back to that teen shelter and tell them, hey, it's going to be okay.
Mhm. Yeah. I picture it as everyone has horrible problems in their life, but are you going to be buried by them, or are you going to rise above them and try to help others get out of that too?
Yeah.
So, and that's what I see a lot of in the carnivore community, a carnivore keto community, is they want to help other people overcome the problems
Yeah.
they overcame, you know?
Well, and think about the people who end up in keto and carnivore. They've been frustrated to the hilt, like for years, trying to do the low fat thing, trying to do the vegan thing, trying to do this and that and everything in between, and not knowing why they're still not feeling good, not knowing why they're not losing weight, why their depression isn't getting better, all the things. And then suddenly they see these people that are compassionate because they also went through that same journey. We have a lot of empathy for people, where we just truly know what it feels like and what they're going through. It's what gets me up in the morning, Nathan. You see me because you're on my stories early. I'm
Hmm.
posting early and I'm posting often. And it's just when you have that deep desire to want to be there for people and help people, it motivates you. It gives you that passion for living that you might not have had before. Well, now, literally for you,
Hmm.
kill yourself not long ago, and now here you are, a passion for living and making people smile with your voices and
Hmm.
inspiring people with your story, which is why I'm glad you're on my show today.
Well, and thank you. I wasn't not expecting this, so, but yeah, it's great to be here. And yeah, I like that about you. You have a very positive aura about you, very energetic, and people are drawn to someone they know cares. And I think people instinctively get that from you. I know I did right away. That's why I wasn't afraid to reach out to you. So
Well, I'm glad you did, because we're definitely blood brothers, and you didn't know I like to do voices.
I did not.
But the other thing, in addition to caring, is being real. And there's so much fakery out there. I wish people could see how many people actually are really real in this community. And I know it's somewhat of an indictment, and people be like, well, you're just kind of dissing on people in the community. Not really. I'm challenging them to be better, challenging them to be more real, because you're not going to meet people if all you show is the perfection of how things have gone with your keto and carnivore lifestyle. You need to show them some of the ugly stuff too. I show ugly stuff all the time, not for the sake of, oh my gosh, woe is me, but to say, hey, look, I understand what you're going through. Look at this, I'm going through. And yet, stay encouraged. You're going to get beyond it. I think there's such a powerful message there, um, that if you stick with it long enough, you can actually get the results you're looking for.
Hmm. Yep. Like that. Oh, I was going to say like that Arnold Schwarzenegger motivational speech I just watched last night where he was talking about, I had the vision. I knew what I was going, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Well, let's have some fun now, man. So I have a very, very limited voiceover, cartoony voices. Like when I was in college, I got the opportunity at the church I was at. They said we need some puppeteers, and I was always fascinated by puppets because I'm like, you put this little thing on your hand, you just blah 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 blah. But then to have the opportunity to like manipulate your voice and make a
Hmm.
character, so okie dokie, I can come in and say hi. Hey kids, how are you today? And then you kind of like think, okay, that sounded like Elmo. Um, I could do Tickle Me Elmo. So you just play around with it.
I'm jealous. I wish I could
Oh,
do
you
that
can't.
one.
like that?
The only one, see, there's a French Canadian penguin show in claymation, and here in Canada, I don't know if you've ever heard of Pingu.
No.
It's the weirdest show you've ever
I'll,
seen. Yeah, it's these short little clips of this there's no actual language in the show, but he's kind of a jerk and he plays pranks on people. But he sounds kind of like like that. So I can kind of get up there, but to be able to
that's like,
talk,
that sounds like Beaker from the Muppets.
yes, yep, yep, yep. Most of mine, I can get the really high ones, but most of mine are very goofy, or I'm very good at imitating people's mannerisms and the way they talk.
Yeah.
Like, so I find that even if you can't get the voice bang on, if you can do the mannerisms and the way they talk, people will know who it is. So, some people, let me see. I wrote down a whole list here. See, like I did my Bill Curtis one recently on Instagram. He has a very like a presentation, way of saying like um what does he say again? Something like there was a time before cable, when a local anchor man reigned supreme. So and let's see, George Takei, he's down there too, but he's more like a
Boom.
hello, I'm George Takei. When I worked on Star Trek with Bill Shatner, we just couldn't stand each other. Oh my. And then James Earl Jones has a very matter-of-factly way of talking when he's not doing Darth Vader. So, like, if you listen to him do the Raven, he'll be like, "Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary." He's a very I
You
don't
know,
know how to pronounce enunciation. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So who else do I got here? Or the movie announcer guy. In a world where anything can happen. I'd love to take over for him, but I think he passed away, didn't he?
Yeah.
Not too long ago. Oh man, he was great. So, anyways, any that you can do? I want to hear.
So mine are all cartoon voices. I don't think I can do people, because there's some people that have like good cadence, like, and everybody does. Yo, Adrian, with Rocky, or I'll be back. Everybody does those kind of ones like that. But for me, it's the cartoon characters. So like, remember Lilo and Stitch?
Yes.
I can do. Oh, Stitch. Oh, where's Lilo? Do that.
Oh, I love that one. I wish I could do that one. Oh, I'm jealous now.
Let's see who else. Oh, Jar Jar Binks.
Mhm.
Misa, think it's time to go. Misa likes even more podcasts. Mm.
That was very good, and I'm a harsh judge, and so yeah, you're doing a bang on, in because I have a trained ear, so I don't know. Very good job. So I
That's
wish
the
I could do
I
those.
know. So I'm shot now. If you give me, like, you've heard me do a few, give me one to try to work on.
Did you ever see Wreck-It Ralph?
What is it?
Did you see Wreck-It Ralph?
Oh, I haven't seen the movie.
Oh, it's so good.
I'll have to look up the character. Who is it?
If you like the old video games. Anyways, there's one
Oh,
on there that
game. Yes, I didn't watch the movie.
there's one voice actor. He's Alan Tudyk. He does amazing voices, but he does the King Candy on that. And I think you could do that if you listen to it. Your
Oh,
voice can get in that range. So
I'll try it.
he's kind of like uh Vanellope the Glitch Ralph. She can't be allowed to race. Glitches can't leave the games. Like that. So but a lot of mine are like deeper in the deeper range. So and I can kind of wiggle around in that area.
Now I do a falsetto deep. Oh my! I am here. Yeah.
That would be good for like some kind of like a rock creature in a video
Yes.
game cartoon kind of thing.
A swamp.
Yeah. I just
Love
posted
the
my
high
tree,
voices. What's that?
I just posted my Treebeard one the other day from Lord of the Rings that I do, you know. It takes a long time to say anything in old Entish. And a lot of people don't know this. John Rhys Davies did that voice. He's the one who played Gimli
Oh,
on Lord of the Rings too. So, and then there's Gandalf. You must remember, Frodo. The ring is trying to get back to its master. It wants to be found. And I love the dwarves because they have the Scottish accent, and I can't do accents perfectly. Not everyone, but there are a few I can do, and the Scottish one is like the easiest one for me. And stereotypically, dwarves love alcohol, so there's the I don't drink anymore. I don't drink any less either. I love it. I start doing voices and I'm making myself crack up because I don't know. I just think it's hilarious that people ask you, have people ever asked you, how do you do that voice? And you're just like, I don't know. I just do it.
Well, and like from a very young child, as a very young child and all the way to now, when I hear something, I've got really good pitch in my ear, so I can almost mimic it. And sometimes I mimic it too spot on and it's fake sounding. So you kind of like have to listen to it and get like into that character rather than just mimicking it exactly, because it does come across a little bit strange. And before you came on the air, you were doing the little voice exercises. I was kidding you about it, but I remember like even with the singing, they were like, okay, and so you're just like stretching the voice like you're stretching before you exercise. And so I'm sure you do all that stuff too.
Yep. Before I came down here, I was making my coffee upstairs and I was trying to get the dogs to howl. They're doing the siren noise, and that I find stretches the vocal cords. So, yeah.
Well, good to do that if you're a talker, singer, voiceover actor, whatever, because it does stretch you. And maybe that low voice you want to do, or in your case, the high voice you want to do, it gets you there because you're able to okie dokie, kind of get up there and make a funny voice.
Yeah.
Okay, now he sounded like the Pillsbury Doughboy. You did one recently.
Yeah. Let's see. What does he say? He's like, new Pillsbury crescent rolls. Woohoo! So that guy, or the character with the unfortunate name on Rick and Morty. Ooh wee! I'm not going to say his name on.
No. So Optimus Prime, that was really good.
That one's hard to get. Your voice, see, some voices you can't get all the time. It depends on how dry your throat is. Might be able to do that one. See. All right, let me see. Autobots transform and roll out. I can't quite get it right now, but
that's pretty good from Transformers for you youngins out there that don't know where that's from.
he is the perfect voice. Peter Cullen. And he's Canadian.
Everybody wanted to be Optimus Prime.
Yep.
Well, Nathan, thank you so much for being here today. Again, guys, go check him out. Nathan_does_voices. And you're always posting voices on there. You are the voiceover guy at the beginning of Meet Our Ex podcast now. And now you've been on Jimmy Moore's show acting kind of goofy with the goofball. So I love it, man. I love it. Keep up your good work. And sincerely, congratulations on your success with Carnivore. Stick to it. You're going to see all kinds of really cool things happening. And when those do, I want you to write to me and let me know what's going on.
I will. I'll keep posting. And we'll keep in touch with Silly Voices, Carnivore.
Okie dokie.